Hello there, GCSEers, and today we're going to explore the question, the final question in this unit: is there any evidence against immortality? Now, last week we looked at the arguments for immortality and whether there's any arguments against those, and we're going to try and see if we can do the same with that today. But the first one, we really can't, well, you can argue against it, but it's the idea of the lack of proof. Now, apart from Jesus, if you believe in Jesus, and this is what we're going to look at, what theists would say, but apart from Jesus, there's nobody really who's risen from the dead and come back to tell us what it's like. So really the idea of resurrection of the body and coming back onto earth is quite a difficult one for us to actually understand. Now, of course, Christian theists would turn around and say, well, you have to have faith that that's what happened and what was written in the Bible was correct. But there's actually no evidence and no proof that that was actually the case, apart from what's written in Scripture today and apart from faith and what people believe. And you can say the same about ghosts and certainly near-death experiences, is that the little amount of proof that they have, the eyewitness accounts and the people who experience them, they're actually very small in the amount of actual stories and evidence that's out there. So you can see that actually the lack of proof is a big one. Now, of course, religious believers would say you have to have faith, you have to believe. But belief or faith is belief in something when you don't have any evidence. And today, lots of people, and we're going to look at science in a minute, would say that the only way you should believe in something is if there's enough evidence for it. Now, the second reason why lots of people believe that the evidence against immortality is that scriptures and revelations differ. Now, scriptural ideas about the end, what happens when you die, are different in different religions. For example, in Christianity, it talks about how Jesus is or God's house, whereas in Islam they believe in a land flowing with milk and honey and everybody living in paradise. So the actual ideas differ. Now, a theist would actually argue, well, they don't differ that much. They're quite commonplace. Heaven's going to be a nice place, a land where people get on and things like that, and that's true in most faiths. So some people might argue that they're actually different and the stories are different, whereas other people will argue that they're not. The third one is wishful thinking. Now, people often say that they only believe in the afterlife because that's what they'd like to think will happen. For example, when someone dies, we often use the term, they have gone to a better place. We even say that about our pets. Often when a dog dies and you explain to a young child, you might say, yeah, they've gone to doggy heaven. Yet, this is just wishful thinking. We wish that would happen when we die, but there's actually, again, going back to number one, no evidence for it. Yet, if it's wishful thinking, a theist might say, why is there an idea of hell? Hell-like life, that can't be wishful thinking. So surely a heaven and a hell must have been given to us in some way for us to believe, for us to have faith in. Because the idea of a hell wouldn't be something that people would wishfully think for. The fourth one is science. Now, science seems to suggest that there is no such thing as an afterlife. For example, human evolution, or any evolution of anything, suggests that our DNA is carried on for the survival of the fittest. That's the actual purpose of life. There's no end result, no heaven or hell, no living forever. That actually the purpose of our life is just to carry on our DNA, carry on our species. And this is a famous quote by Mr. Dawkins, as you can see here. And he just says, there is no spirit-driven life force, no throbbing, heaving, pullulating, protoplasmic mystical jelly. Life is just bytes and bytes of digital information. Now, what he basically means there is that that's all we are. We're just a series of zeros and ones, and our purpose is to carry on our genes. Now, some people might argue against that. For example, Hindus might say that evolution actually does prove reincarnation, because it doesn't deny that there's a soul. You can't disprove that there's a soul for evolution. And a Hindu might say that reincarnation could prove evolution, because the idea of birth, life, death for millions and millions of years would show how we can survive and how our soul goes on, as opposed to just our DNA and being bytes and bytes of digital information, as Mr. Dawkins says. Now, science also shows this idea of something called cryogenics. Now, you might remember this from something called Futurama. You might have seen Futurama. And basically, you see often the people with their heads with what looks like someone's sewn them back on again. And that's because some people believe that in the future they will have enough technology to bring them back to life. So they get themselves cryogenically frozen. And here you can see a man called Ted Williams who froze himself, and he just froze his head because that was the major part. And the idea is that in the future they'll be able to build a body in some way, shape or form and put his head on there. And if that's the case, then if they're able to bring him back to life, then surely he'll be able to say whether there's a afterlife or whether there's not. And if he turns around and says, well, there's not, then this should disprove that there is no afterlife. Now, of course, theists would say that this is impossible. It's impossible to bring someone back to life even when they've been cryogenically frozen, And at the moment, that would seem correct, because at the moment we still do not have the technology. Ted Williams was frozen in the 1950s, and we still don't have the technology to make this possible. So, yes, that would be true for theists today. Now, in the last unit, we're going on to space again, onto science and space. We said in the last unit about Yuri Gagarin. I tried him out this time. I've managed to get his words out, his name out. Now, he said that when he went up to space, I see no God up here. And indeed, the most powerful telescopes in the world. Here you can see pictures from the Hubble telescope. And the Hubble telescope has taken pictures from millions and millions of light years away. Galaxies that we'll probably never see, that we can see because of this most powerful telescope. And still we don't see any evidence of a heaven or any evidence of energy that's been rebirthed for Buddhists. Okay, it's just not there. And so some might say that evidence against immortality would be the fact that there's no such thing as a heaven up there, as the spires told us in the church. Yet another astronaut, a man called James Irwin, who in 1971 walked on the moon, he said when asked about it, he said he felt the power of God as he'd never felt it before. So surely it's down to the way that the people perceive it. Yuri Gagarin, I see no sign of God up here on the one hand, whereas for James Irwin, 1971, when he walked on the moon, I felt the power of God as I'd never felt it before. And that really leads that one down to a what do you think kind of an answer. And this really goes to what we're going to talk about now. The final one is atheism. Now, do all of these 6 things, do they disprove and do they suggest that we cannot live forever? Okay, theists would argue that that's not the case, that a purpose in life is to obtain heaven, possibly certainly if you're Christian, Muslims and Jews, is to obtain heaven, or if you're a Hindu, to complete a circle of life, to get to moksha, to live forever. That's the purpose of our life, to be able to do that. Whereas atheists would say, no, that's not going to be the case. The world is the purpose. It's what you do that matters to improve human life. That what we do on this planet is what actually makes our purpose in life and gives us purpose. So, ultimately, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, as per usual, do you think our purpose in life is to obtain a kingdom of God where we go to a heaven or a hell, okay, and where people live forever in that kind of idea, in a soul? Or do you think our lives are governed and gained by what we actually do on our existence here, and that is the only meaning of life? There is nothing else beyond it. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think?